CNN. Gone are the days when footballers were sold for a bag full of kit, as was the price of former Liverpool star John Barnes when he joined English side Watford in 1981. Football transfers are now, more often than not, in the mind-boggling millions, while Neymar's move from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain last month for an eye-popping world record $261 million has set a new benchmark. English Premier League clubs have already spent over $1 billion in the market this summer, and teams still have a few more days to spend as the transfer window in that league doesn't close until August 31st. As well as French side PSG, Serie A's AC Milan, under new owners, have also been flexing their financial muscle, splurging nearly $250 million so far this summer in a bid to rejoin the higher echelons of European football. But is this summer's spending any different to previous years? Was Neymar's transfer an anomaly, a freakish fee for a rare talent, or has the Brazilian's move to France irrevocably changed football? CNN Sport talked to some of the game's insiders, an agent, a lawyer and a Premier League chief executive, as well as fans to understand what is behind the spending. Michael Di Stefano is a Football Association intermediary who works in Italy and the UK. He tells CNN that transfer spending, in the Premier League especially, is at its peak. The Neymar deal was an exceptional one. It's not really a transfer fee, it's the buying out of a contract. It's not the norm. By meeting the buyout clause, PSG had the right to speak to the player. Barcelona couldn't refuse it, they had no choice. No one thought they would meet the clause, but there was an appetite for the player. Maybe the Spanish are now realizing that there are a number of clubs able to meet these huge figures and it will probably raise the level of the buyout, but the buyout clause is unique to Spain. We don't really have those in the UK and in Italy, for example, there are no buyout clauses. If you look at the fees in the Premier League, other than Romelu Lukaku's move from Everton to Manchester United for an initial $96 million, the fees are similar to last year. We're almost at our vertical limits for transfer fees, however, in England. Sky and BT paid a record $6.58 billion for Premier League rights, but those sorts of deals can't last forever and the clubs know it. Sometimes, you can offer people too much, you can spoil the viewer so much they don't watch anything. Maybe there might be one more deal that's a tiny bit higher, but unless we start transmitting to Mars I can't see the appetite being there for the quantity of football that is currently being broadcast. The Chinese and the Asian markets stimulated the demand for this Premier League viewing, but the Chinese are being smart by directing people to their domestic football, which is a good thing. If they drop out you can then take 150 to 200 million viewers off the package deal. But as long as these TV packages are here, the transfer fees are going to stay where they are now, around the $38 to $89 million mark. Footballers don't really look at the Neymar deal, they know what the standard wage is and each league is different. Players know their worth, mainly through word of mouth. It's no secret who's on what and they try to at least be on each other's coattails. Nobody is worth $261 million. Even the US president, regardless of who he is not worth that figure because somebody else can come in and do that job, and it's the same with a footballer. Daniel G is a partner at sports and media law firm Sheridan's. He has worked on a number of club takeovers and high-profile transfers. There's a dual narrative to this summer's window. In the Premier League, the money that has been spent to date relates to increases in broadcasting money, which means the top clubs are earning almost $192 million from central distribution. The Premier League clubs are continuing to spend big, but a counterbalance are the mega-continental clubs that still have huge buying power and huge sway. Traditionally, that was Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich, but PSG are now in that group. Particular players are now being valued depending on the system the club wants to play, and you can see that with Manchester City spending over $128 million on two fullbacks. Another phenomenon which differs to previous seasons is the sale of a number of players from Monaco to elite clubs, based on their fantastic run in the Champions League last season. But one of the things which may be becoming more prominent is that clubs have the ability, as long as there is no release or buyout clause in contracts, to keep players, even if the bid is a hugely significant sum. In the Premier League, the clubs outside the top six are now able to live within their means and can compete with most high-profile continental European clubs because they can afford the wages, the signing-on fees. And I'm still not sure whether PR